Hello again, welcome back to our video series Exploring Christmas. Well, it's the 3rd of December today, so let me look at the Advent calendar and pick out the scroll for the 3rd. Let's see what Bible passage we have today. Well, we're still in Genesis chapter 49, verses 8 to 10. Well, last time we were learning a bit about Abraham. Well, we've moved forward in time since then to somewhere around 1850 to 1900 BC, so not far off 4,000 years ago. And Abraham, he and his wife Sarah in their old age had a son, a very special son, the result of a promise that God made to Abraham, and his name was Isaac. And then Isaac had a son called Jacob, and then Jacob himself had many sons, 12 sons in all. And you've probably heard of one of them, at least, and his name was Joseph, probably the most well-known of the sons because even a musical has been written about him. He was the one who was sold into slavery by his brothers because they were jealous of him and ended up in Egypt, but actually second in command just under Pharaoh. But I want to talk about his older brother, one of his older brothers, called Judah, because he's the one who's mentioned in that passage that was mentioned on the scroll that I picked out today. And so let me read those verses and see what those verses say. These are spoken by Jacob, Judah's father. Just before he died, he gathered all his sons around him and he spoke about each one in turn, describing things that were going to happen to them, really prophesying about how their lives and their offspring would turn out. And this is what he says there about Judah. Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. You are a lion's cub, O Judah. You return from the prey, my son. Like a lion, he crouches and lies down, like a lioness. Who dares to rouse him? The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he comes to whom it belongs, and the obedience of the nations is his. Now, Judah wasn't Jacob's oldest son, but clearly from what Jacob is saying about Judah there, he was going to become the most important son in that family. But actually, not just the most important amongst his descendants and be a king would come from his line, but actually that would influence the whole world. Remember that at the end of that verse there, until he comes to whom it belongs and the obedience of the nations is his. So Judah himself wasn't the promised rescuer. He wasn't the Satan crusher. But we do know more now about this deliverer. We know more about his family line. So he was descended from Adam, and then through the line of Abraham, then Isaac, then Jacob, and Judah. And this promised rescuer would be a royal figure in the family line of Judah. Well, do come back tomorrow and we'll learn a bit more as we explore Christmas. See you then.